Hi. I wish my mother was here for that introduction. It's a pleasure. You should know that when you saw the sign outside that said that the Kiddush was sponsored by the Jewish Federation and the Horwitz family, it was totally my Horwitz family. Mazel tov, you guys. Mazel tov, you're doing amazing. So we're going to dive right in. And you already chanted for us actually earlier, right? Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, right? You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And after the 6 words of the Shema itself, this verse and the handful that come after it, what we know as the Ve'ahavta, is the piece of our tradition that your average Jewish person is the most likely to know. And it actually comes in this week's Torah portion. Now, for some, the words in the accompanying melody bring comfort, and for others, it immediately transports them back to studying for their bar or bat or b mitzvah, some of whom enjoy that memory and some of whom maybe don't. But what most aren't thinking about when they chant those words is what they actually mean. You shall love Adonai your God. We're commanded to love God, not to obey or revere God, but to love God. But can we as human beings really be commanded to love? After all, rule number 2 of the all-powerful genie in Aladdin, we just heard A Whole New World on the piano, his rule number 2 is that he couldn't make people fall in love. And we're just mere mortals. So how can we be commanded to feel something? Our traditions, rabbinic luminaries of old, struggled with this question, often reaching different conclusions. And I'd like to share a few of them with you this evening. From the medieval commentator Rashi's perspective, he's a French guy, 11th century or so, to love God is to fulfill God's commandments, the mitzvot, from a place of love, because one who acts out of love is superior to one who acts out of fear. According to Rabbi Shmuel ben Yitzchak de Uzeda, it was hard for him to learn how to write that as a 5-year-old. He was a 16th century Kabbalist. He writes, one who loves the ruler, that is God, occupies themselves with the ruler's most valuable treasure. Diligent study of Torah is therefore an expression of love for God. Through study, one learns to recognize the godly path and to express one's love of God by emulating God's ways. Now, for Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who was largely responsible for reviving the Hasidic movement in the late 18th century, he taught that when you pray, hold nothing back from God. Pour out your heart with honest openness as if you were speaking to your very best friend. In his calculation, loving God means behaving like you're in an intimate, loving, personal relationship, the kind of relationship you have with a close friend or parent. For Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, we should all be so lucky to be both Rabbi and Lord. I know Rabbi Flip and I are aspiring to that one day. For Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, the best way of encountering and ultimately loving God is to give. He teaches that where people give voluntarily to one another and to holy causes, that's where the divine presence rests. Now, for just over a year, I've had the privilege of serving as the chief executive officer of our community's Jewish Federation. For those who don't know, our organizational efforts are focused on building and securing Jewish community, growing Jewish philanthropy, and caring for those in need with dignity, here in Israel and around the world. And at a time when war in the Middle East, extremist politics, conspiracy theories, and more are bitterly dividing us as Americans, as Israelis, as a Jewish community, the Jewish Federation of Greater Nashville remains steadfast in its role as the connective tissue of our community. While others seek to divide, Federation exists to lovingly bring us together. With our community-wide rally against baseless hatred a couple weeks ago is just one example. We published the community's Jewish newspaper, The Observer, now available digitally, helping us stay connected to one another while documenting the evolution of Jewish Nashville. We managed the Jewish Community Foundation, with over $40 million of communal assets under management, serving as trusted philanthropic advisors to 100 of folks who keep their donor-advised funds with us, and helping folks to establish endowments to ensure the continued flourishing of our community even after they personally have moved on to the world to come. We house the Jewish Community Relations Committee, which works to build relationships in the broader community while combating anti-Semitism and advocating for Israel. We employ a lobbyist to advocate on our behalf at the Capitol. We facilitate leadership development cohorts, young adult programs, newcomer programs, etc., etc. And a core part of our work is we raise and distribute millions of dollars each year as part of our annual campaign, supporting the incredible efforts of our community's Jewish organizations and congregations, ensuring that our local Jewish ecosystem flourishes, while also helping to care for the needs of our Jewish family in Israel and around the world. Now, during this past year, courtesy of the work that we do at Federation and my role, I've had a front row seat to the myriad ways in which love manifests in our community. Following Rashi's interpretation, in Israel's time of need, our community opened its hearts, wallets, and homes to our Israeli family from a place of love. We raised and sent well over $1 million to Israel to address immediate needs. We welcomed displaced Israeli families to Nashville. We provided educational programming, organized rallies, wrote op-eds, defended Israel in the media, participated in volunteer trips to Israel, and more, all from a place of deep, deep love for the country and her people, our mishpacha, our family. And following Rabbi Shmuel ben Yitzchak de Uzeda's interpretation, where love for God means engaging in Torah study, courtesy of our community's philanthropic generosity, this year we've granted hundreds of thousands of scholarship dollars for our community's Jewish nursery schools, the Akiva School, the Jewish Middle School, the Kehila High School, and Jewish summer camp experiences, ensuring that no family will ever be turned away from a high-quality Jewish education and the ability to engage in Torah study due to the inability to pay. Following Rabbi Nachman of Breslov's interpretation, where love for God manifests in pouring one's heart out freely and emphasizes close personal relationships, I can't help but be impressed by the deep bonds formed at our community's 5 congregations, including this one, over meals, praying, learning, social action, and more, by the holy work done by Jewish family services and their social workers in caring for our community's most vulnerable, building deep relationships with those they serve, the lifelong friendships forged at the JCC, whether on the courts, at the pool, or via the arts, the incredible impact of Vanderbilt Hillel, providing a home away from home for Jewish students on campus, helping folks see and be seen, and combating loneliness and depression in our era of digital hyperconnection by cultivating deep personal relationships. Following Rabbi Sachs's interpretation, I've been so moved by those who give to each other and to holy causes as their expression of love. This past week, a middle-aged Christian man, a military vet who decades ago spent a week in Israel, walked into our Federation offices and handed over an envelope with over $2,000 cash in it and said that he was tithing and wanted the money to help support Israel and did not want a receipt. We have folks in our Jewish community who give of their time, talent, and treasure every day, with incredible volunteers and professionals working closely together in holy partnership to ensure a thriving Jewish Nashville. We even had someone not too long ago, a recipient of tzedakah themselves, make a donation to the community of 56 cents, because it's what they had to give, and they wanted to do their part. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. You shall love Adonai your God. The rabbinic luminaries I shared about earlier each possessed a different take on this instruction, and that gives each of us permission to explore how we hope to express that love. And yet, while the ways we may each connect are individual, our true power is in our unity. Our tradition teaches that the Torah was given at Mount Sinai to the nation, not to a collection of individuals. The Midrash, which is like ancient rabbinic fan fiction, says that the nation received the Torah as one person with one heart. Of the 613 commandments in the Torah, it's impossible for any single individual to fulfill them. Some are for priests, some are not for priests, some are for men, some are for women. Only together, as a collective, each doing our part, can we, with love, fulfill our sacred obligations. So my hope is that the work of the Jewish Federation to unite our community inspires you, and that you consider engaging with our efforts as one means of expressing your love. And my prayer is that we each find ways to live out this love, connecting to God, to our families, friends, community, and the Jewish people around the world, united together. Shabbat shalom.